Hello, students. Well, you all survived the midterm, I presume. Congratulations. You know, there won't be any surprises. To tell you the truth, I think the final's a little bit easier because it's less content. And it'll be 8 chapters instead of 10. And it'll be the same format. So maybe thinking about how you did on the midterm, you can use it to help you with the final. Like maybe you need to spend more time with the book. Whatever, just try to use it to help you guide you, okay? All right, so we survived the midterm, we survived childhood, and now we have arrived at adolescence, okay? And this is, there's some interesting things I think you'll learn from these 2 chapters, from 11 and 12, okay? With 12, you know, when we look at, there's a lot going on with both these. There's a lot going on physically with all the hormonal changes in puberty. I have a video that summarizes that pretty well, I think. You want to pay attention. Some key things to pay attention to are the processes of the stages of changes in puberty. Pay a little bit of attention to that. The video will help you out with a lot of the details. You know, there's also a lot going on socially and emotionally in adolescence. Erickson's stage in adolescence is identity versus role confusion. So this is the idea here that the key developmental task right now is who am I? Who's Paul? Who are you? You know, and the way we do this, sometimes we do this by trying on different personalities. And I remember, I don't even know what the different groups are today, but you know, for me it worked out a lot with music, okay? I hate to admit it, I'll confess right now, but in middle school, beginning of high school, I liked Southern rock. Luckily, I outgrew it. Okay, so I went through stages. I went through that. Thank gosh for me, I then found punk. Okay, I was still in the punk stage. No, but I went through distinct periods. And the funny thing is I would then throw away all my records. When I discovered punk, I literally had a party breaking all my Leonard Skinner albums because now I was a punk and I was disgusted with the Southern rock stuff. Rightly, I should be. No, no. God bless you if you like Southern rock. And then like went through a reggae stage, totally into just reggae, just listen to reggae. Went through a rockabilly stage, went through a ska stage. So in each one, I was like trying out different things. Okay, trying on just like the clothes. Okay, during my ska stage, I had a Vespa I drove. I dressed in black and white two-tone. Wore spectator shoes, wingtips, and also so it's just like trying on different clothes, trying to figure out what my values are and what's important to me. And then we try on different things. So it could be different social groups, it could be music, could be different social groups. You could be, I don't know, hanging out with the cheerleaders and hanging out with the drama people and hanging out with the stoners, whatever the groups are. We negotiate around trying on different things to see who we are, right? And we do this through a trial of experimentation and unfortunately a lot of times through rebellion, okay? Through rebelling against things to figure out who I am. You know, the funny thing is that now all these years later, in some ways for me what being a punk meant was having integrity and honesty and rebelling against the system, you know, and trying to create an alternative. You know, the ironic thing is maybe this is just a middle-aged man trying to make himself feel comfortable, but I think that ironically, like the small organic farm I have is one of the most punk things I've ever done, okay? This idea of self-sufficiency, this DIY, capital DIY. So what appealed to me in punk music when I was 17, okay, and this idea of DIY and self-sufficiency and stepping outside the system and challenging the powers that be and challenging racism and sexism and all the isms, that stayed with me. The clothes didn't stay with me too much. I still have a leather jacket, but you know, that I tried on. When I tried on that identity, part of those values really resonated with me and stuck with me the rest of my life. So we rebel, we push boundaries, we try different things on to figure out who we are. Okay, sometimes it's a messy process, right? It can have conflict. You know, the interesting thing is that we usually think of adolescence as being a stormy time as far as relationships go. Look what the chapter says about actually. What you'll find is that the vast majority of people negotiate through this okay. It's still a little messy, but it's not as filled with huge conflicts like our cultural stereotype has of us as we negotiate through this. There's a couple of key things, and that has to do a lot with social emotional. Okay, with cognitive styles, there's some really interesting and dangerous thinking styles of adolescence. Okay, they said they'll call them thinking errors, and I don't think that's a good way because it's just the style that they think. Okay, and some of the ways of thinking styles of adolescence are, one is this imaginary audience. Okay, where you literally feel like as I walk through the hall, the whole world is turning and looking at me. Okay, how many teenagers does it take to screw in a light bulb? One. They hold the light bulb in their hand and the rest of the world revolves around them. This is really the way that people, and this is not like, it's not unhealthy narcissism, it's just part of, it's the effect of the hormones, the effect of where your brain's developing. You just really think this, okay? I don't know if I should have been allowed to have kids. Because I remember one time my daughter had a little pimple on her face, and I said, and she's asking about her clothes, how do I look? Because she was going out with her friends or something. I said, oh my God, you're not going out like that, are you? Everybody's going to stare at your pimple the whole night long. She was horrified because literally that's what she thought, right? That the biggest issue in the whole world was the little pimple that I have here. Okay, that is so. That's a thinking style of people in puberty. This imaginary audience. This other is this idea of this mythic tale. Okay, this idea that my life is larger than life. I'm living out this myth, this mythic tale, and great, wonderful things are to come to pass in this wonderful adventure I'm on. Okay, well, you could say, what's wrong with that? That sounds pretty good. Helps them negotiate this hard pair life. Okay, here's the problem with that. Okay, when you think about a mythic tale, you don't think about bad things going wrong or bad things happening. Okay, so part of the bad part of this mythic tale thing is that and I'm on this epic journey, is that you don't think about bad things happening. So sometimes also with adolescence, the last part of the brain to fully developed is the frontal lobes. Not till 25 or 26 is it fully wired. Remember we talked about myelination? Fully totally wired. So you're really not done with puberty until 25 or 26. And one of the important things that the frontal lobes do is called executive functions, okay? These are important things like if you feel like telling your boss to screw off, it has what we call inhibition. No, I shouldn't do that. I'll get fired, okay? What the frontal, it helps us with our judgment and with things like impulse control. That's why when you get drunk, the first part of your brain that goes to sleep is your frontal lobes. So you lose, maybe I'm too nervous to dance. I have a couple, what do they call those sparkling alcohol things, whatever they are, the new thing that kids drink that I don't, the sparkling water with alcohol in them, whatever you call them. I drink 2 of those and now I'm able to dance. If I didn't take them, I'd be too self-conscious. It has it calls a disinhibitive effect on the impulsivity, so that I'm able to impulsively act without thinking so much of being so self-conscious and worried about it. See, that's bad though if kids in this age take risk, dangerous risk, and if they think they're on this epic journey that I'm going to be the most famous rapper. How about this? How about just think about how this affects my pet peeve, which is the way that young people drive in Milwaukee. Okay, my daughter could tell all the lingo. I forget what it is when you run the red light, or when you pull off to the parking lane and take off before the red light turns green. I know there's all these slang for it. You know, the thing is, you think you're on this epic journey and you're going to become the world's most famous rapper or basketball player or ballet dancer or crocheter or whatever. and your brain isn't fully developed, you engage in impulsive decisions and you take risks that other people might not take. And the problem is sometimes, like we hear all the time in Milwaukee, is I shoot through that red light and I hit another car head on and I die. And I'm 15 years old and I die, right? Wait a minute, that wasn't part of the epic tale of me becoming the most famous basketball player, right? This is the problem with that idea of this mythic journey that I'm on. You can see how it has dangers because you haven't thought out the consequences, okay? And you have impulse control. It's part of the way the brain's wired, okay? So those are two things that cause problems. All right, so we have two videos you can watch of content. We have one on puberty, on the hormonal aspects, the physical aspects, and then we also have one on emotional development, okay? So if you get puzzled about the discussion question for 12, the book, for some weird reason, don't ask me. I told you Erickson's our most important man, right? Our most important theorist. He's our main man with theory of developmental psychology. They don't talk about him too much here. For some reason, they talk about identity and they provide a different model of identity formation. But you can go back and look at the overview of Erickson to see a summary of identity formation versus role confusion. Remember, these all build on each other, okay? We have to get a healthy identity before we can go on to the next stage, all right? So, good luck. You know, we got some heavy lifting. We'll have quite a few weeks with 2 chapters. Don't get confused by that. Look at your schedule, okay? And be putting up the extra credit pretty soon. Remember, you can do extra credit as long as you don't have more than three missed quizzes or discussion board questions, okay? All right, email me with any questions at all, okay? Bye.